everyone, how are you today? I hope you are in a good health. This time, our group will explain how to global supply chain management, manage in risk, and description of the pandemic COVID-19 outbreak. Next, in the content of our group presentation material, we got from an article with the title Supply Chain Description from ecantour.com. Next, in this article, there are 7 sub-parts. Number 1, a state of supply chain. Number 2, how to respond to description. Number 3, supply chain planning. Number 4, supply chain logistics. Number 5, supply chain enforcement. Number 6, manufacturing. And the last, conclusion. Okay, we are start our presentation. In the eyes of the storm, COVID-19 has disrupted supply chain around the world. There's no doubt that the pandemic has tested the ingenuity, resiliency, and flexibility of supply chain leaders globally, as they have sought to maintain essential operation. Next, impact on supply chains. With the virus still alive, threat, and a number of regions and economic in lockdown, whilst others emerging into a very different world, the disruption of supply chain continues to be served. As economic restart, the supply chains will be critical to supplying goods and services quickly, safely, and safely. Next is supply chain risks and challenges. Supply chain risks. With the COVID-19 crisis, fundamental changes in customer behavior, supply chain, and route to market are knocking companies off balance. And the challenge, number 1, supply chain like global resistance and are breaking down in the face of multi-country disruption. Number 2, the lack of flexibility inhibits the ability to address customer demand for personalization and customization. And the last, IT systems continue to be expensive to run, inflexible, and often over-reliant on legacy technologies. Okay, next presentation.
Okay, I will continue the presentation about the how to respond to description. The first is business must navigate the financial and operational challenge of coronavirus while rapidly addressing the needs of their people, customer, and supplier. The business should also consider developing a robust framework that includes a responsive and resilient risk management operation capability. That capability should be technology-led, leveraging platforms that support play, analytic, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. And the next is supply chain description. The unprecedented supply chain disruption caused by COVID-19 has had severe operational and financial consequences, with planners having to address issues include the first is demand. Demand drops and surges by segment, and the second is supply shortage. The third is inventory placement and challenge, and the last is reduced productivity. And the next is supply chain planning. There are 5 supply chain priorities for immediate action. The first is put people first. The second is leverage data to improve visibility. And the third is define segmentation to priorities. Demand. The fourth is build a sales and ops SWAT team. And the last is evaluate supply chain scenario. And the next is there are supply chain planning. There are 3 case action for supply chain planning from now. The first is a full digital to unlock data, and the second is reading the operating model, and the last is build an asset-like network. And the presentation will continue by my friend.
Okay, I will continue to present about supply chains logistics. There are 5 key actions to address COVID-19 impact on logistics. The first is improve visibility. Use an integrated logistics control tower to get real-time visibility into operation. The second is increase flexibility. Repurpose assets, inventory, and capabilities to balance supply and demand. Third is communicated effectively. Ensure proactive communication with on-site and remote workers, suppliers, carriers, and customers. And then support the workforce. Address the physical health and mental well-being of the core workforce as well as the extended logistics workforce. And the last is be a responsible steward of supply chains. Think creatively and with purpose about how to support customers, suppliers, and logistics network affected by COVID-19. Next slide. The next slide about supply chains procurement. There are 5 areas for immediate attention. The first is put people first. Second is secure the supply base. Third is unlock funds intelligently. And then build resilience for the future. And the last is innovate with purpose. Next slide. Next slide about procurement for the post-COVID world. They should keep 3 things in mind. The first is stay the course. Plan for a downturn lasting several months or longer, as well as for the risks that infection might return globally, regionally, and locally. The second is learn and evolve. Use applied intelligence to uncover and understand weakness that were previously hidden and adopt a mindset of continuous innovation. And the last is be a force for good. Reshape the organization to combine greater resilience and responsibility and help both the business and society come through strong. Okay, the presentation will continue by my friend.
Okay, I will continue. The next is manufacturing. During the pandemic, manufacturing leaders have focused on the immediate challenge of keeping their business stable. They also need to focus on building business that is as future-proof as possible, using new technology to increase resilience, protect operation, and support workers through the crisis. As well as being essential now, the future-proofing action will also have sustained competitive advantage to accelerate business growth once economy rebound. Okay, 5 actions to build agility now and in the future. First, understand the impact of demand disruption. Second, manage workforce safety and flexibility. Third, ensure manufacturing ecosystem viability. Fourth, rebalance physical production network asset. And last is leverage digital capability. Okay, next slide. Looking to the future. Manufacturing must take a hard look at existing operation model, where and how work gets done, and for what reason. Challenge legacy way of working and building in more transparency and intelligence across core workforce dimension, our economy partner, and the physical production network. These are essential steps for manufacturing to reshape themselves into digital-enabled, resilient, and agile organization. Okay, next slide. Okay, the conclusion. COVID-19 has disrupted supply chain around the world. The pandemic has also proved to be a real test of the company value and goals. Consumer, investor, government, and the public can ultimately judge company on how they respond to this period of disruption. When the economy starts up again, the supply chain will become critical to supplying goods service quickly, safely, and securely. The COVID-19 pandemic is not just a short-term crisis. It has long-term implications for how people work and how supply chain function. There is an urgent need for business to build long-term resilience in their value chains to manage the challenge of the future. This requires holistic approach to managing the supply chain. Companies must build flexibility to protect against future disruption. They also consider developing a robust framework that includes responsive and resilient risk management operation capability. Okay, next. Okay, that's all about our presentation. Thank you.